Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon you, and may the blessings and mercy of the Lord that we worship in different forms and in different ways be upon you as well. Brothers and sisters, comrades, and firstly acknowledgement to the notables amongst us, authors Yuri Davis as well as Sister Suraya Dadu. I'm humbled by being given this opportunity of being able to stand in front of you and speak about why this is a cause that people from the Muslim faith, particularly South Africans from the Muslim faith, would like to champion. Firstly, informed and inspired by verses from Scripture, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُونُوا قَوَّامِينَ بِالْقِسْطِ شُهَدَاءَ لِلَّهِ وَلَوْ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَوِ الْوَالِدَيْنِ وَالْأَقْرَبِينَ. A verse from the Holy Quran where the Lord mentions, O you who believe, كُونُوا قَوَّامِينَ بِالْقِسْطِ, stand firmly for justice and be a testimony thereto, even if it be against yourselves, your parents, your ancestors, and those who are close to you. And it's in this particular light that I commend many of the other religious leaders, particularly representation from the Jewish community, because this shows and gives us the opportunity as people from different religious communities. And then secondly, we are inspired by the statements of one of the founding fathers of our free South Africa, the late President Nelson Mandela, when he said that South Africa will not truly be free until Palestine is free. And we, as people sitting on this panel, representing our communities, irrespective of what constituencies we represent and the size of that, are a living testament that indeed one day Palestine will be free. To reiterate the issue that undoubtedly this is not a conflict that's focused around religion. A personal experience of visiting the occupied Palestine or having to pass through the checkpoints and the border posts of the illegal state of Israel shows that I had a certain level of privilege being a South African passport holder, but others who are Palestinian, who journeyed back from the same pilgrimage like me, had to stand and wait in no man's land between the Jordanian side of the border and the Israeli side of the border for close to 12 hours in the baking sun. That tells me that I had returned from pilgrimage, they too had returned from pilgrimage, and this is definitely not an issue of religion. It's also telling of the conniving and cunning manner of the Israeli apartheid state in terms of trying to position and frame this conflict as being one based on religion. Furthermore, in terms of the experience of having visited Palestine, I note how freely leadership from different religious communities in the Palestinian space manage to interact with each other and have access to places of religious worship, the various churches, the various mosques or masajid, etc. But I do note that it is the Israeli state who then limits and restricts people of the Christian faith from being granted entry and access into the courtyard and precincts of the various masjids and the sanctuaries, and similarly the other way around. So we all know and agree in terms of the fact that this is a conflict that's based on people being seen as different. And we as South Africans, Muslims, Christians, Jews, Hindus, Tamils, and people of other aspersions have the duty to show people the living example of our South Africa and how it is that Palestine will one day be free. At the formative stages of my education, having been inspired by the works of people like Yuri Davis, this being some of the fundamental literature that we were given at university, we used to wear t-shirts that said 40 years of oppression and 50 years of oppression, and we're now into 70. We'll frame those t-shirts on our walls, but undoubtedly, even if it takes another century, we will work actively as South Africans from different faith groups to see that certainly Palestine will be free and liberated for all peoples. With regards to support for Israeli Apartheid Week, other than just South African Muslims, Muslims of the world rally behind the people who are facing the oppression and take a cue from them. It is, as we have noted, and the Master of Ceremonies for today has mentioned various letters of support from faith groups in Palestine. We also have a letter of support from the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, who pledges his support not only for the efforts of South Africans, but particularly for Israeli Apartheid Week. And this is showing that we as concerned global citizens are not railing behind something where we have hijacked or made a cause our own, but indeed we are railing behind something that's peaceful, that's within the constraints and within the dynamics of how society needs to adjust, needs to discuss and deal with certain issues in a manner that is taking direction from the very people who are being oppressed. With this, we endorse as the Muslim community of South Africa and the globe the efforts of Israeli Apartheid Week, and are indeed glad to see that other faith groups are standing by us. And I would lastly like to reiterate the point that we are the living testament of how one day Palestine will be free for all people. Many thanks.